Belichick. Who does he think is going to throw the ball to all of those tight ends and receivers? Wait, Texans' new GM Nick Caserio and that crazy chaplain Jack Easterby both came from New England. Did Bill send them there to trade him Deshaun Watson for Cam Newton in a 5th rounder? Uh-oh. Yes, welcome back to another episode of Odd Man Sports, here on the Game Day. I'm your host, Brandon Perna. I'm also the host of That's Good Sports on YouTube, so please subscribe to both, or consequences will ensue. Now, before we get to the rest of this show, I do have a serious message regarding something that did happen earlier this week. On Saturday, linebacker Thomas Davis signed a one-day contract to retire as a Carolina Panther. Hey, Thomas, loud blazers, they're my thing. Do not, and I repeat, do not try and make loud blazers your thing. I can barely hear myself think in this blazer. This blazer is so loud that sometimes people call me Damian Lillard. And the last athlete to test me on this was John Daly. And I hit him with the lawsuit so hard, I'm now entitled to 50% of Little John Daly's future earnings. Now on today's show, I'm taking a cheap shot at NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, a parting shot at former starting quarterback in the NFL Drew Brees, and enough vodka shots to make Syracuse coach Jim Boeheim. No, that's Led Zeppelin drummer John Bonham. No, that's former Speaker of the House John Boehner. There we go. Dinks and Dunks! For the first time in 2 years, the NCAA tournament is back. And even though it just started, my bracket busted faster than Rick Pitino next to a plate of fettuccine alfredo. Will this be the year someone fills out a perfect bracket? Unlikely, as the odds of doing that are 1 in 9 quintillion. For reference, those were roughly the same odds as these two having a successful marriage. I stupidly had Duke and Kentucky making deep runs this year, which is a great lesson in why you should wait until after the teams are announced before filling out your bracket. It was my fault. I was too busy playing Fuck, Marry, Kill, or FMK, for the faint of heart, with all of the college mascots, which led me to building an imaginary life with Syracuse Orange, which was weirdly satisfying, right up until the Orange started regurgitating Coach Boeheim's hot Twitter takes.
We had somebody that Twittered a lot the last 4 years, and I don't believe too much in that medium. You even call that a medium? I guess you might have to.
What a dreamboat. And speaking of FMK, a reminder to play MKF, or Monkey Knife Fight, a daily fantasy game that has solved the problem of, I want to play daily fantasy, but I don't want to analyze salary caps and compete against algorithms and professionals. So check it out, it's easy. Just follow the link below and submit a Game Day Monkey Mania bracket. The Game Day is giving a free PS5 to the winner, and last place gets a $200 Amazon gift card. As for this year's tourney, I'll admit I'm not a huge college b-ball fan, but there was one part of March Madness I always looked forward to. Buzzer beaters? No, we covered that. One shining moment? No. Watching President Obama try and bluster his way through the women's bracket on ESPN. That's what I liked. The poor guy knew UConn, Gino Auriemma, and that was it. And every year, Rebecca Lobo was all, "So, Mr. President, you claim to support women in sports, so who do you like in the South Dakota State Central Michigan 8-9 matchup?" Now, I would hate being president, unless, of course, you guys want me to run. Just in case I did have 60,000 of these hats made. That's right, make America that's good again. One guy who I definitely won't be running against, golfer Dustin Johnson. A guy known for how do I put this delicately? Not overthinking things. Dustin Johnson is kind of like Paris Hilton, if Paris Hilton could drive at 350 off the tee. Anyway, DJ was recently asked by a reporter if he'd given any thought about the menu for this year's Masters Champions dinner, something the defending champion decides on, leading to this Zen exchange.
And have you settled on your menu yet for the Champions dinner?
I have not. I'm actually going to work on that this week.
What is working on it? How do you do that? What are you going to do?
Just write it down.
Pretty good advice, and something I'll remember as I'm overthinking jokes at 3 a.m. in the morning for my 4th sports comedy show of the week. What's that advice again, DJ?
Just write it down.
Money talks. Here is an open letter I am writing to the NFL commissioner. Dear Miss Roger Goodell, nobody likes you. You have the approval rating of an Arby's. But I have an idea. Will it make people like you? No. Will it make people dislike you slightly less? I think so. So, there's one thing the NFL needs to fix, and it's easily fixable. And it will create tremendous goodwill amongst football fans everywhere. Please, Mr. Commissioner, put an end to all of these fake-ass numbers being reported in NFL contracts during free agency. It is driving us insane. My grandfather survived Corona, no problem. But do you know what almost took him out? Reports that Taysom Hill signed for $140 million. And now, because I'm the go-to football guy in the family, I'm on the phone with Gramps for 45 minutes explaining the intricacies of the NFL salary cap and the difference between signing bonuses, non-guaranteed and guaranteed money, and how that voidable money can be spread out over the life of the deal to lessen the cap hit, and how Taysom Hill's 4-year, $140 million deal is actually a restructure that saved the Saints $7.75 million against the cap this year. And then I find out Grandpa's phone disconnected and I gotta explain it all over again. And commish, don't tell me it's out of your hands. And it's the agent's fault. The MLB, the NBA, and the NHL all have agents, and none of these leagues have this fake news problem. When Cody Zeller signs for 2 years, $13 million, nowhere is it reported as 7 years, $178 million. Reading an NFL defense is easier than reading about NFL contract money. The NFL has done an admirable job over the last decade of turning a 16-week season into a 52-week season. Even during the week when college hoops are supposed to shine, more people seem to be talking about capologists than bracketologists. That reminds me, I need to call my proctologists. Last week's hernia thing might be real. Anyway, all of these crazy numbers being reported have made it so even when the numbers are real, I think they're fake. Like Cam Newton's deal. A year after Cam signed for $1 million to be the Patriots starter and threw for fewer touchdowns than an injured Dak Prescott, Bill Belichick is now paying him 14 times that. That can't be right. Or could it? Just insert custom emoji of me shrugging. Thank you. Raj, I don't care how this gets cleaned up as long as it's fixed before next offseason. I do not want to take any extra math classes to talk about football. And if it means putting Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport in a Mexican standoff to get it done, do it. And if you don't care about how I feel, do it for my grandpa, who is one Chase Daniel signed for how much money from being my late grandpa. Odd Man Out! There's been a lot said about Drew Brees this week, most of it good and well-deserved. Drew Brees retired from the NFL, and he is on the short list of first-ballot Hall of Famers when he becomes eligible. Other lists he tops: all-time passing yards, completion percentage, greatest Saint, and maybe free agent signings, depending on how you feel about Reggie White. But I will tell you one list he's not at the top of. Guys who make lists list.
There's 3 stages to this game. You play, you compete, and lethal.
Listen up, men. If we do these 3 things, we're gonna be champions. 1, play hard. 2, play tough. And 3, pickles. In Brees' defense, he built a pretty good career, completing 2 out of every 3 things. It's a difficult habit to break at this point. So, how will Drew Brees be remembered? As the master of the mid-range game, the Tchaikovsky of the check down, the perfect little engine for Sean Payton's offense? If he were a golfer, Drew Brees would be the greatest ever at sinking putts under 8 feet. Which isn't nothing, but was Drew Brees better than Tom Brady? Yes, and that's all that matters to me. Give Drew Brees a top 10 defense every year of his career, while he wasn't already an old man, and he too would have 7 rings. Instead, he has just 1. Something only Gollum finds impressive. But all of Brees' greatness on the field was almost eclipsed by one off-the-field gaffe. One smudge on an otherwise impeccable resume, one devastating misspeak that collectively took our breath away as a nation. I'm talking, of course, about the time Oprah tried to wipe off Drew Brees' birthmark.
Wow, 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 wow! All right, who just kissed you? There's a big old kiss right there. Wow.
And that's it for today. Enjoy March Madness, everybody. And don't get upset if your NFL team overpays for a backup running back. Most of the numbers you're seeing aren't real. At least, I don't think they are.